Hi, everyone, and welcome to Duckfund Talks, where smart capital meets action. I'm Anna Kogan, founder of Duckfund, earnest money deposit platform for commercial real estate acquisitions. Today on Duckfund Podcast, we're excited to welcome Michelle Kleger, Senior Vice President of Business Development at Kensington Vanguard National Land Services. Michelle is a respected leader in commercial real estate, known for driving growth through strategic relationships and partnerships across the industry. She's also a co founder of Girl Gang Commercial Real Estate, a thriving community empowering thousands of women in commercial real estate. Michelle brings deep industry insights, high energy, and passion for connecting people and opportunities, making her the perfect guest for today's expert session. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. So excited to be here. Actually, I am now a managing director as of a couple weeks ago. So my title has changed, but it's still doing the same stuff.
Wow,
So
congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm so excited to be here. I love you guys. You have become a partner of mine. We do a lot of business together. So really fun to be here to talk to you today.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. So my first question is quite poetic. So if I'm writing a book about you, what's the title of the chapter you're currently in? And what's the one move that got you here?
I would say if I were to title the chapter that I'm in right now, so I'm 10 years into my career at Kensington Vanguard, I would call it Forward Progress, which might sound funny, but I feel like why I would call it that is because I really feel like what's the move that got me here? Hustle and drive. And I feel like there's been a lot of hustling and persistence and driving forward the past 10 years. And now I feel like I'm really at this point where I really do feel forward progress. I wouldn't say I've made it or I'm comfortable. I'm really in the moment. And, a little bit also just to elaborate, I really think of, where I am today as just the pursuit of getting better every day. So that's kind of what I think about. It's constantly improving, constantly learning, constantly moving forward. It took me years kind of figure out my reps and how to do my reps. And now I feel like it's just forward progress and momentum. I don't know if anyone knows about the compound effect. You do certain things over and over again, and then it leads to results.
Yeah.
And I really do feel like that is what I've done. I had to at first really figure out what worked. And then it's the consistent reps of doing what works and figuring out your own way of doing things that is comfortable, especially when you're in a sales role. And then it's that just compounds on top of each other and gets you to where you want to be. So my chapter is Forward Progress.
Well, it sounds great given your promotion as well. And I totally agree with you. Persistence and constant moving forward, it's something that inevitably bring you success. That's something that we all do every day, and that's what helps us a lot. So I'm on your side here. So you are with title business, and we at Duckfund, we communicate with title companies every single day. And we always have this question, which we not necessarily know how to answer. What's the difference between different title companies? How do you differentiate yourself from other folks on the market?
Absolutely. I love this question. It's one of my favorite questions because whenever I'm on the phone, essentially talking about Kensington and what I bring to the table and, how I'm different, this comes up because all title companies are essentially doing the same thing. It's the same type of service. You're getting the same type of coverage. If you're a good title company and reputable, there's not much that's going to differentiate one company from another. Now, the one thing I will say about Kensington, and I'll start with why Kensington is a little bit different, and then I'm going to talk about what the real difference is. So, Kensington, I joke all the time that I landed at this company by accident. I mean, 10 years ago, I wasn't searching to get into the title business. I met the owner of my company and it kind of all just fell into place. But I wasn't oh, I'm going to search out title companies and find the one that, is the best, right? I fell into Kensington Vanguard. And I always say I'm so lucky that I fell into this company because We're a national firm and have a national platform. I'm licensed in every state. I have 35 offices around the country. We do have these little elements that do make it easier to do my job when it comes to the execution, right? Having an ear to the really high up decision makers at First American and Stewart and Old Republic, most of the insurers that we use, sometimes I can get an answer or something done faster than someone that works directly at one of the underwriters because of who I have relationships with and who our firm has relationships with. And that took a lot of time and effort. And the two owners of my company, buying up companies around the country, being backed by private equity, like having a standard that we hold ourselves to in the industry, like that is a differentiator and is important, right? But I always like to say I don't really sell like title services. Like if I'm speaking to someone and I'm trying to convince them to use me and my firm and give us a shot, I am selling Michelle Kleger and what I bring to the table. And what I bring to the table are introductions and figuring out ways to be helpful to your business specifically. So when I'm talking to an owner operator, I'm like, who do you want to meet? Do you want to meet equity? Do you want to meet debt? Do you want to meet investors? Do you need help with hiring, which I can help with through Girl Gang, which we'll discuss later. So for me, the biggest differentiator isn't actually the title company. It's what I'm bringing to the table to add value. But I do say, which is why it's important and why I started with Kensington, is if you can't execute and if you don't have a strong, responsive, creative underwriting team, then really the other stuff doesn't matter. I like to think that if everyone has both, the price is the same, the execution is the same, then it's like, okay, what else are you bringing to the table? And that's really where I differentiate myself and where I believe Michelle Kleger at Kensington Vanguard differentiates themselves from other people in the space.
So what I hear is title business is a business of personality, because people keep going back to you just because of that's you. And because of you make sure that the title service is done perfectly fine. And then you also have a lot to add to the table as well. So it's basically, it's a very kind of interpersonal and relationship business.
Exactly. This is relationships. Like I think it's so interesting, like, especially like there are some deals, right, where there's more than one title company on the deal. And yes, it could be because you want to spread out risk, right? Spread out risk, the deal is too big, but most of the time it's because there are multiple people on the deal that have multiple title relationships. It's relationships. And, all of those relationships are bringing something to the table for the person that is bringing them into the deal, whether it be introductions, whether it be you're comfortable with them and you like the way that they execute. There's a lot of different things, but it's a relationship business, 100%.
And when a buyer says, hey, we just need a title company, what do you think are three major things that they are underestimating about what you actually do?
So going along the lines of the question before, but even to explain it a little more deeply, like first, again, service. You need smart, creative underwriting team. You need people that are going to come to the table with solutions, not problems. Like being in this business for as long as I have and seeing the amount of deals and seeing the issues that come up, like you absolutely need a trusted partner advisor who, like, by the way, if you don't like what you're getting, push back, right? If you have a relationship with me, as in if you're an owner operator and you think that we can kind of maybe, be a little creative here and you want to push back. And if you have a relationship to push back on, then we can bring it back to the table and say, well, can you look at it this way, right? And I feel like if you don't have a relationship with the title company, it's hard to like kind of explain what you need and what you want and how you're looking at it, right? So it's the service and the relationship. It's responsiveness. You have no idea how many times people say to me, Michelle, I don't get responses from the people that I've been working with. All I care about is a responsive partner. I'm like, that's it. Done. I'm like, done. So, but that's so important to people. And again, if you're like, oh, I just need a title company, choose whoever, and you end up going with someone that you don't have a relationship with and they don't care about your deal and it's at the bottom of their pile. And let me tell you, they have big piles of deals to close. So do you want to be at the top or the bottom? Because you're going to be at the bottom if you have no relationship, right? So I think that would be the second thing. And then the third thing is value add. How is the person that you're giving all this business to adding value to your business. You got to think of it that way. And whatever service provider you're hiring, I think that this is like something that you should be thinking about for all of them. Besides the fact that they do great at their skill. And listen, if the skill is really complex, there's not a lot of people that are good at it, fine, that's good enough. But if it isn't, then it's like, well, what else are they bringing to the table? Because so much of my focus, and when I speak to other relationships around the country, sometimes like they know a title person in their state that just does good execution, and that's fine. But in New York, there's a million of us running around, and you have to bring something else to the table. And so in those situations, I'm really able to stand out and I think like really differentiate myself, because no offense to the title person that's just doing like just their job, but I'm doing that times X, right? And I think that, is a huge differentiator in this space.
I hear you, and I agree, because we work with a lot of title companies, and the majority of them, they come with the customers. So that's the title companies of their choice. And based on how our business is structured, we are in communication with the people in title business all the time, and they are not necessarily always responsive. Sometimes when we need to get our cash back from escrow, we spend 2 days just calling them, sending emails with no response whatsoever.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, because that's their job. And we're calling their office numbers, and they're saying they are out of the office and they will come back God knows when. So, it's crazy. And I agree with you that responsiveness is it's something that is very important. And what about speed? So is it important for customers to have a title partner who can do the title search together with the insurance very, very quickly, or no? And how actually the title work influences the process of closing? Because I know title is involved in closing as well. So is there something that you guys can do super fast and smooth for facilitate the closing, or not necessarily you're playing a huge role in the closing process?
Again, like it's so funny because I come back to relationships, but like it is relationships. And when I say that, I mean on the execution side, right? So like the owners of my company have developed these really strong relationships with our underwriting partners and with our examiners. So like when I need something done rushed, I can get it done in a rush. And I'm not saying that smaller title companies or like not as well connected title companies can't do it. I'm just saying that we've spent years developing and cultivating and bringing these people business, that our work gets put to the top of the pile. Like I really do feel like the relationships that we've developed, like on the execution side, matters. As much as I can hustle and work, like at the beginning of the podcast when I said, hustle and getting better every day, a lot of this has to do with everything else that I do, not even talking about the title business, just all of the meeting people, connecting dots, helping people with their business, helping, put deals together. Like in order to do that, I need execution like stellar. So thankfully, like you need both pieces, and we have both. And then as far as like settlement and escrow, so we do settlement and escrow internally at Kensington. We have our own settlement team. We have our own escrow team. To me, like in every situation, I want to run settlement and escrow. I want Kensington. Now, if we can't, because sometimes like with Fannie Freddie, they need to insure through a national underwriter. We're fine with that. And thankfully, again, going back to like our partners, we have these really strong partners that really do act like an extension of our office. But like in my perfect world, I'm running settlement and escrow, not my underwriting partner. Love the direct underwriters, but I do feel like if I'm running the process compared to like
you control it,
my direct underwriter, it's faster. I can make decisions faster. It's different. And I think that's different also whether you're working with an abstract company versus an underwriter. In general, we're faster. We have a little bit more ability to make decisions quickly and make business decisions. So, I do think there's a lot of value to working with an abstract company. And then the last thing, just while we're on this topic, if I'm not able to get something done with First American, I can quickly take it over to Stewart. And I have all the information and I have all the documents. Right? Right. So like if you're working directly with a steward, like then you have to go find someone else. Like I can be a liaison. I can just kind of work all the, and we write on almost all of them. So we have a lot of options. I always say to people, if I'm not able to get it insured, no one is.
Yeah.
Because we just have so many different opportunities if it's not working with one. And that
Yeah,
happens
that's
a
super
lot.
beneficial than working with a direct insurer, right? You have a
Totally. I
choice,
mean,
so you
you have a
can
choice.
yeah. And
A
you know
hundred
who's moving
percent.
faster, you choose the fastest option if you need to move fast. Yeah, well,
And
that adds a
also,
lot of flexibility. That's actually very important to know for anybody who needs title service, right? Because you need to have this flexibility to make sure that you're in compliance with the timing.
completely. And then there are also some states where it's not state regulated and you can kind of like play the underwriters against each other for pricing and like to have one, not to be going to all these different underwriters, have one abstract company to go to every underwriter to get the best
Yeah.
price. Boston is or Massachusetts is an example. Chicago is an example. Like being able to do that through an abstract company is valuable and saves time.
Well, that's a huge insight, actually. That's very good to know. And even for us, it's important because we refer title companies to our customers when they don't have a preference. And it's very difficult for us every time to explain which one is better because they ask for advice. It's still human relationship, right? And it's good to know that. It's good to know that because flexibility here is very important, and timing is also something that is super critical.
While we're on the topic,
Yeah.
I just want to mention one other thing. Like
Yeah.
also, like people are paying their attorneys by the hour, right? If there are things that your attorney doesn't have to do because the title company is competent and knows what to do and can do it themselves, one of those things like in a state where prices are negotiated, and you can play the different underwriters, like let the title company that I'm not getting paid by the hour, do that work. You're saving money from your attorney.
Yeah.
So it's just all these little things you might not think about that and they add up.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's true. It's actually very important. And also, if you keep going back to your preferred title agent, it's easier for you because once you have all the wording and all the relationships settled in, you don't need to have those extra legal expenses. So that's also something that is super convenient. Well, we talked a lot about relationship, and I definitely know that you are a guru of networking, and the way you do it is so cool, and I love it. So many different initiatives, the contents you create in LinkedIn, and the way you reach out to folks, the way you follow up, the way you build the conversation, and it's always very personal. And what I love about you is that you listen to what people are telling you and then you remember and then you kind of get back to that. And that feels very, very personal. So I'm sure you can give a lot of advice to our audience how to master networking and sales. But I wonder, what are top 3 things of yours that other folks in the market can use to build their pipeline in like 30 days?
Yeah. I mean, this networking and building relationships and marketing yourself is like my favorite topic.
Yeah.
Maybe just because this is like what I do every single day. And I feel like I can give back and give advice because I've just done it for so long. And there's a lot of trial and error over here. And like, I feel very comfortable, like being honest about like what has worked and what hasn't. So the first is like, if you're just like new, right? And you want to go out and build your network in a certain area of sales, you got to start with who do you know and who of the people that you know can introduce you to other people that can be helpful. Let's just say I'm starting out in the title business, right? It's like, okay, who are my relationships that either can be conduits to people that I can do business with or people that I can actually do business with? And then developing and cultivating those relationships, listening to what they do, trying to be helpful, and then asking for more introduction. That is key. Like my entire business was built on meeting people out and getting introduced. Literally every single person I know came from one of those ways. So that's like the first thing I would recommend. And then like finding an expert in your world, just like that's well connected, and asking them like what events to go to that are worthwhile, right? Because that's huge also, like getting introduced to people and then meeting people at events. I was just at this networking event where I spoke to this young man. I was on a panel and he came up to me after and he said, what should I be doing? I've been reaching out to people on LinkedIn and I can't get responses. And listen, some people will respond on LinkedIn if you find a commonality, or if you're really strategic in the way that you reach out. But like most of the time, you got to go meet people in person. You got to follow up with those people and get on the phone with them after you met them. And you have to ask people for introduction. I used to think, I get a lot of introductions early on from friends. I have a family member in the industry, and then I met some of his friends, and he made and then they made introductions for me. And I was always like, I can't believe that these people are getting on the phone or meeting me for lunch. I'm 25. I have what do I have to bring to the table? Like, why are they wasting time on me? It's because of who made the introduction. Like, that is such a big part of it. And by the way, it's two things. It's that, and everyone got somewhere because people helped them, and people do want to give back, right? It is part of how this world goes round. So those are two things you don't forget. People enjoy it. They want to help. So who you know and asking for introductions, networking and going to events. And then the biggest key is following up and figuring out ways to be helpful. Once you meet someone out, you need to get on the phone with them or meet them in person. You have to learn about their business, and then you have to figure out how to be helpful. You can't just sit there and say, my name is Michelle Kleger, I want title business. No, why? There's no reason for anyone to want to help. If you have to come with a strategic angle and bringing someone to the table, maybe asking them what it is that they actually need, and thinking about what are the things that you have in your tool belt that you can bring out to be helpful. And then that's how you develop the relationship. And then the business comes because of that. And you do have to ask. I mean, you can't just expect, you can't just help the whole world. I used to do this when I was younger. Help everybody and just expect people to give you business. No. Help everybody. And then you have to
and then
ask for
follow up
business.
Yeah.
Got to ask for the business, and then it comes. And people want to give you the business. They just are busy in their own lives. So if you don't ask for it, you're also not going to get the business. But the first thing is figuring out how to meet people. And then people are always like, I don't know how to keep in touch. Look them up in the news, see what they're doing, follow up about an article, reach out, with an introduction. There's so many ways to keep in touch with people that you've met. And then marketing, what you guys are great at and which I do a lot of, put together a newsletter that's sent out quarterly, put together something that's going to help your audience, and then make sure that you're consistent with it.
Yeah. And I actually am wondering, these days, automated reach out and automated marketing is getting more and more popular in business marketing, AI signaling, and a lot of different, stuff, which sounds innovative and sounds less interpersonal relationship, more when you analyze the data and you kind of use the data drivers to reach out to your customers. Is that something you think is valuable for a commercial real estate market, or you still think that that's a very conservative relationship-based market where all those new marketing features are completely useless?
I definitely don't think they're useless. And my husband, who is in advertising and monetization strategy in that world, would kill me if I said it was useless. It's definitely not useless. I do think though that the market that you're hitting when you're reaching out and doing the automation needs to be a market of people already. As in, if you're just reaching out, you got a list of all these emails, right? That are in your world, and you just blast out emails to these people, I don't think you're going to get responses unless it's the perfect timing and how good is the data and how good is the marketing tool. Right, exactly. Maybe I'm not saying no. You guys are a great example. You have a unique product. I don't. So you marketing out to a really smart group of people talking about the product, you might get some wait a minute, I want to talk to you guys because you have a unique product where it's less. People might reach out to you and want an introduction from Michelle because they heard that I can make introductions to equity, that maybe, but not maybe for the title insurance services. So it's what's the angle and the hook, right? I'm not here trying to grow my social media following to millions of people that I don't know. I am trying to hit everyone I do know. Right. So it's a little bit of a different strategic play when it comes to my business. I think it's super important to hit all of the people in my network over and over and over again, and continuously add people to my network, right? But like spraying out to like a lot of different people I don't know. I don't know in my world if it's as useful, but I do think there is some value to like that type of data. And by the way, like I would use that type of data and like, okay, here's all these people I want to know. How can I get to them? Right. So maybe it would be a little bit more strategic. Like I definitely don't think the data is bad. It's maybe more about like canned email to all these people when you're in a business like mine, I think is difficult. But I think things are evolving. And I do believe like with AI and like in a couple years, like there will be like some really tailored approaches that maybe even will work for me, potentially.
Yeah, well, market is evolving. So sooner or later, a lot of those tools are going to be used anyway, everywhere. So I think it's wise to test the waters and start using the technology. But I agree with you. The final reach out still should be very personal. That is going to bring much more success than just sending bulks of emails or messages out there. Yeah.
Totally.
Well, last thing I wanted to discuss with you today is the girl gang thing. So how come you came up with the idea? And what did this community is about, what it's solving for, what is the main goal, and how success sound like for Girl Gang for you?
Yeah. So I'll just quickly explain what Girl Gang is for people listening that don't know. So in 2016, I co-founded a women's real estate networking group with my partner, Gabby Everett. She's been in the business for a very long time as well. Actually, we met when she just started. So she said to me, Michelle, like, I know you have a lot of relationships and I came from 8 years in fashion and I look around my office and there are no women and I really miss these relationships I have with women. And I was like, and she was like, let's do a dinner or let's do a cocktail party. We did a cocktail party, invited all the women we knew in the industry. We had like 30 women there. And, she was really into branding. She branded a Girl Gang. We definitely did not know that it would take off the way that it did. But now 10 years later, because we just celebrated our 10th anniversary, we have 3,500 women part of the community. We do 6 events a year that have about 150 to 200 women at every event. Out of the 6 events, one is always a golf clinic because I have very strong opinions about women learning to play golf if they want to learn how. And then one is always a panel. And then the 4 are just straight networking events. Last year, we launched an entire virtual community. So think of like a LinkedIn for women in real estate around the country. And with that, we launched a membership platform where we finally have like a paid membership, and we launched a virtual event series where we have 4 virtual events a year. And then with that, we also promote discounts to industry events weekly. We promote new job opportunities weekly. We have another email that goes out with updates and perks you can get for being a Girl Gang member. There is so much amazing things that we're doing with Girl Gang, and really like why it's evolved over the past 10 years is because of the women in the group asking or requesting different things, right? And so we've been able to like evolve it into what it is today. I think that, me in my seat, like what I've seen and what I've learned and what I've observed are so many women that are maybe not comfortable with networking or don't know where to go early on in their career, come to Girl Gang and find and create a network that then they carry out into the rest of their careers. I mean, I was just looking actually right before this call at my Instagram, and there are 4 women that were out to dinner last night that met at a Girl Gang event. And I know that because they've always like told me.
Yeah,
and like just
that's so
looking
cool.
at that, to me, it's like the most amazing thing. And I know that those women are supporting each other. I know that they go to events with each other. I know they're helping each other. Girl Gang is not like men in this industry are not important. We don't want to work with it. It is not about that. Actually, there are a lot of men, companies that are men run that are big supporters of Girl Gang. It's just that when you go to an event, there are less women. And it's like, how can I just bring all the women that I've met throughout all the years by doing this and networking and being out and bringing them all together so then they can meet each other. So maybe like going to an event or doing something is a little bit less intimidating. Plus, I want everybody to learn what each other does so then we can all work together and help each other too. I didn't do business with a lot of women. And now when I look at the people I do business with, it's almost half women. And I just think it's incredible, because there are so much less women in the industry. The fact that like almost half my business is directed by women in real estate. I mean, amazing. And there's a reason for that, right? And I think that women want to do business with each other. I think that there's just so many men out there that we know that do certain things that in order to think of a woman, we have to think a little harder. We have to go to these women events so we do know a woman that's an attorney, that's a title person, that's a broker, that's a equity source. Like, we need to find the women that do these things so they are in our Rolodex, and it is a little bit harder to find. So anyway, I think, Girl Gang is something I'm super proud of. I do a lot of different things for women in the industry. Girl Gang is just one of them, but I think that it's needed. The fact that it's grown the way it has is for a reason. The fact that we're still around, the fact that people support us and want to sponsor our events and give money to this organization, want to see it succeed. Like, that is because they realize, men and women realize, that this is super important. And that is just really cool.
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative. And being a woman myself in commercial real estate, I know how sometimes tough it is. And it's very important to have a supportive group where you can share, your weaknesses and your strength. And you can always find some advice or something like that in a safe environment. That's super important.
Totally.
So Thank you very much for this initiative. We'll make sure we support it in the future as well, and make sure that we are a part of the gang as well. We are 5 women in the company, so we have quite a presence here. So
we love that. If you're a woman in the real estate industry, please reach out. All women in the real estate industry are invited to be Girl Gang members, and it's very inexpensive for a yearly membership. You get 6 events a year, the whole virtual community, all this stuff for $179 a year. And then for companies that have 3 or more women at the firm, we have corporate membership options. And then we have sponsorship options for companies that want to support in a larger way, or that want to get their name out in a marketing capacity. So please reach out if you're interested in any of these things. We will find a spot for you. This is something that if you want to promote yourself, if you want to get involved, we will figure it out. So, please reach out, and we really, really appreciate all the support from all of the companies that have helped us so far. And we look forward to meeting anyone new.
A big thank you, Michelle, for sharing the insights, the experiences, and perspective with us today. And to everybody who's listening, be sure to follow Michelle's work at Kensington, Vanguard, and Girl Gang as well. And we'll see you all next time on Duckfund Podcast. In the meantime, good deals and good luck.